Wonderful. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. I'm calling to order the Connecticut State Advisory Council for Special Education meeting on Wednesday, January 15th at 9:03 a.m. I'm Susan Yankee. I'm the chair as well as a parent member. Quick reminder, we always talk about acronyms and I do this myself. If you say an acronym for the first time in the meeting, could you just take 1 second to explain what it means? And I first need to make a motion to move the annual report overview from the BSE update to the executive committee report. So could someone make a motion to move the annual report review?
Make a motion.
To the executive committee report?
I'll make a motion, Susan.
Wonderful, Jennifer. Thank you. Who would like to make a second?
I'll make a motion.
Catherine, thank you. So it's seconded. All in favor? Wonderful, thank you. So we're now moving the annual report overview to the executive committee report. Okay, 3, make sure I'm doing this all right. Council purpose and function. So the SAC, which is Special Education Advisory Council for the state of Connecticut, brings together the Connecticut State Department of Education, which is CSDE, educators and related service providers, administrators, legislators, parents, as well as students and persons with disabilities, all dedicated supporting the education of students with disabilities. Through these meetings, our priorities and recommendations for the CSDE and the Connecticut General Assembly are formed, and those are put into our annual report, which we are ready to disseminate pretty much today. Okay, more detailed information is on our website. So it's the Connecticut State Department of Education website. You can find us there along with past meeting videos and annual reports. Introduction and roles. Members, I'm going to call on you, introduce yourself and your role on this council. And if I don't see you, please forgive me because I'm on my iPad today. So the first person I see is Mr. Sean.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sean Cronin. I work with Brian Klimpowitz in the State Department of Education, the Bureau of Special Education. So it's nice to see everyone this morning.
Thank you. And next, Stacy, and welcome to your first official meeting.
Hi there, I'm Stacy Palker. I am a mom of 2 kids with special needs. My daughter Sadie and my son Aaron. I'm also a learning specialist at a small private school in Stamford. I'm really excited to be involved and looking forward to it.
Thank you. Catherine.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Catherine Sum, the Education Supervisor of the Children's Services Program at the Bureau of Education Services for the Blind. And the stakeholder group I represent is Aging and Disability Services, Bureau of Education Services for the Blind. I'm also the chair of the membership committee and a member of the SAC executive team.
Thank you. Nachi?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Susan. My name is Nachi Bhatt. I represent the Children in Foster Care and Department of Children and Families as my stakeholders.
Thank you. Good morning. Tom?
Good morning, Tom Kosker. I represent Disability Rights Connecticut, which is the protection and advocacy system here in Connecticut. Also the parents of 2 children, one who has an IEP. And welcome, Stacy, aboard.
Thank you. Kimberly?
Hi, I'm Kimberly Williamson, and I represent speech language pathologists.
Wonderful. Thank you. Tyler, welcome.
Hi, Tyler Young, representing special educators here in the state of Connecticut.
Thank you. Mr. Spar.
Yes, hi, Jeffrey Spar. I'm a parent member. I'm the executive as well and the chairman of the legislative committee. I'm the parent of a young man with ADHD and autism and the father of a daughter who's now become a school psychologist.
Thank you. Denise, welcome.
Good morning. I'm Denise Drummond. I'm with the Commission on Women, Children, Seniors, Equity, and Opportunity, and I oversee the African American Policy Division, and I'm also a mother of an autistic child.
Thank you, Denise. Lena?
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Lena Esposito. I'm a parent of a severe autistic adult, beautiful lady, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Jennifer.
Morning, I'm Jennifer Lucier, and I'm here for the Connecticut Parent Advocacy Center, and I'm also a parent of children with disabilities.
Thank you. Dimpy, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. This is Dimpi Malvania. I'm here as a parent stakeholder.
Thank you. I'm going to jump down to Representative Comey because I know how busy you are. Representative Comey.
Hi, this is Representative Comey. Thank you so much, Susan. I represent Branford and am the legislative member of the committee, and I'm going to have to jump off at 9:30.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. We'll go over legislative information breakfast first. Okay. Next, Anna.
Hi, I'm Anna Wittig. I represent private state-approved schools.
Thank you. Amy?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Amy Messenger, and I'm here today as a parent member. I'm the parent of 4 children. My youngest 2 have IEPs and significant disabilities, and my 3rd daughter has a 504.
Thank you so much. John, good morning.
Good morning. My name is John Metcalf. I am here as a parent stakeholder.
Thank you so much. Rita, good morning.
Good morning. Rita Helkias, representing Unified School District Number 1 for the Department of Correction.
Thank you so much. Brian Smith.
Good morning and Happy New Year, everybody. My name is Brian Smith. I'm Assistant Regional Director for the Department of Developmental Services, and I'm representing our constituent.
Thank you so much. I have 2 more at the bottom. But I can't read their names, who they are. Can someone help me out? Is there anyone I'm missing?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
Matt and Talarito.
Oh,
Talarito,
okay.
got to introduce himself.
Mr. Lewis.
Hi, Louis Talarita, education consultant, Connecticut State Department of Education. I represent the McKinney-Vento Education of Homeless Children and Youth Program.
Thank you so much. And Jake, I just saw your face popped up. Good morning. Oh, Jake, we can't hear you. Jake? Okay, Jake, when you have a second, if you would take off, would you turn your microphone on? Oh, he's trying. Okay, Jake, we're going to move on, but we will come back to you.
Hello.
Oh, you found you. Good morning. Thank you, Jake. Jake Shumbo. Jake, are you your student member, correct?
I am, yeah.
Thank you. And did you say that I missed Matthew? Because I can't see at the end of my screen. Am I all set?
Yeah, he's just doing the recordings and stuff. And did Dimpy say I can't remember if Dimpy did.
Great. Yes. And could you, Dimpy, yes, Dimpy we spoke to. Actually,
Okay.
Christine.
Sorry, Dimpy.
We have a new member, Brandolyn. She's looking for the new link. If you could send that to her.
I think she was just on and got booted.
Okay.
I could resend the link if that helps. That would work.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. All right, wonderful. If I got everybody, great. So we are here now for public comment. Is there anybody here for public comment?
Doesn't appear we have any unless anyone needs to unmute. But I don't see anyone on.
Okay, great. Thank you. So consent agenda, our November 20th, 2024 meeting minutes need to be approved. Any corrections? And I see quite a few, but would someone like to speak up? Yes, Catherine.
Okay, great. Thank you for the agenda minutes. I did notice a few things under the individuals who were absent. There are a couple people listed who are not actually members of the SAC. One of them is Kristen Giantonio, and the other person is Matthew Tejan. So their names should be deleted from that. And under members present, I think Louis Talarita's last name was misspelled. There is not an L at the end of it. And then under membership, if Stacy was listed as Stacy P, if the minutes could actually reflect that her full name is Stacy Palker, so that we have her full name for the record as a new member. And then there's a sentence that states, I want more student members. That's not what I recall saying. I recall saying that we are actively recruiting for student members because we have 3 student vacancies. And that comment reflects the views of the membership committee, not my personal views. So if that could just be edited. And then the last sentence under membership is incomplete. I've got to pull up the draft and look at that again. It says, Catherine, some announced that all governor appointments came through. Everyone should have received, I think it should say
Their
their
letters.
appointment
Yeah.
letter. Yeah. So those were the changes that I noticed.
Also in membership, Catherine, it says motion to vote Susan Yankee. I don't make the motions.
Okay, thank you for
So we
pointing
need to
that
figure
out.
out who did that. And if we're looking at the back of the notes, it says under executive committee report, SPED task force still working on RECS. So working on, is it recommendations? So we just gotta make sure we spell that out. We're working on our report, and maybe you're gonna write report. And then on the first page, it under call to order and welcome, it says Susan Yank. If you could throw in EE, I would appreciate that. I'm not looking my middle school nickname. I wouldn't. How did you know it? I'm kidding. People would make fun of me all the time. Anyways, members present. So we need to flip. We're members present and members absent. So the first section should be members present. Second one, which should be members absent. And if you could go look at some old minutes and notice it'll say like Brian Klemenkowitz, it says SDE non-voting. And we should have a section for other attendees included in there. So only members should be listed as members. And we can do that another time, but so anyone else have any corrections? This is their first kind of go at it, so just want to make sure.
Brian's got his hand raised. You can't
Okay,
see
Brian,
it.
thank you so much, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Yeah, just a correction to the spelling of my last name. It's not Smooth, even though it brought a really great chuckle to me yesterday. I really appreciate that. It's Smith.
That's your new name, by the way.
It's all good. It's all good.
That's pretty
BK
awesome.
Smooth.
Okay, anybody else? And Tom, you're officially my assistant today. Tell me what else I'm missing.
No, I think we're good.
Are
Let's
we all
get
set?
going.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Would someone like to make a motion to approve the November 20th, 2024 meeting minutes with corrections?
So moved.
Well,
Who do we get? Who do we get? Because I need specifically.
Jake first.
Jake
I'll
made the
second.
motion. A second?
Oh,
I'll
wait.
second.
Oh, sorry. I just saw my name, the Rita Helkias, there's an RI after it.
Rita Halkus from Rhode Island, no? That's not you?
Okay, so we'll fix that one too.
With that
Okay.
correction too. With that correction too.
Yeah,
I
great.
apologize.
Don't worry about it. Okay, so on our November 20th, 2024 meeting minutes need to be approved with these additional corrections. Someone like to make a motion? Jake?
I will.
Thank you. Second?
Tom,
Tom?
I second.
Great. Anyone abstain who wasn't at the meeting?
Brian Smith abstains.
Okay, Denise, and I see Tyler. Stacy.
Yeah, there's a few. There's a
Good
few on
morning,
there.
Brandolyn. Okay,
Morning, I'm
okay, all
staying.
approved?
I
Wonderful. So our November 20th, 2024 meeting Oh, yeah, meeting minutes are approved. Thank you. I almost thought for a second it was 2025. I was skipping a whole year. Okay, next on the agenda is my executive committee report. And actually in that, I just want to jump right to Representative Comey while we still have her for a few minutes to just kind of any update on legislative breakfast you want to give us.
Sure. So I would just say that the invitation to the legislative breakfast has gone out once to legislators. That was right. I believe I did it on Thursday, right after the start of the new session. I have gotten a few responses so far. So I just personally saying either they can't make it, but want to be engaged in it. You know, in what the report says. One was Representative Leslie Zupkis. She would like to see, you know, what comes out of the report. So, and then Representative Biggins, who, excuse me, I don't know his first name yet. He's new. He's just joined us. He actually has ran for Jeff Curry's seat and got Jeff Curry's seat from East Hartford. And he is a school employee. He's a school counselor, I believe. So very interested in what we're doing here. And I will send out the invitation one more time. I hope you guys can join if you can. And please, I'm just going to put it out there. Reach out to your legislators personally and say, hey, I serve on this committee and this is really important to me. And we are going to be in your backyard in the building on whatever it is, the 22nd, I guess. And love for you to stop by and see what we're working on. Even if you can't make it, you could still tell them, like, this is what I do, this is what I'm working on, this is what I care about, and I'd love you to stop by and get some information. And it's pretty short, so as opposed to. And I just want to thank, you know, I want to thank the folks, Holly and Christine from CERC for, you know, transitioning with me and to helping organize that. And, you know, if there's anything I can do further to make this happen, let me know.
Thank you so much, Representative Comey. So the event with the legislators is next Wednesday, the 22nd, 11 to 12 a.m. It's in the Legislative Office Building in the Executive Dining Room. If members could be at that Executive Dining Room, it's kind of behind the cafeteria, no later than 10:45 a.m. That would be greatly appreciated. And give yourself time to park since your legislature's in session. It's not so easy to park if something hot topic is happening at the legislature that day. Could you, as soon as possible, send the flyer and an email invite into your legislator? Christine, I sent you like this, I rewrote the sample copy last night of how and where to locate your legislator. Can you send that to the full sack with the flyer again?
Sure, you got it.
Thank you. Could you invite any legislator you know, even if they're not in your region? And because we represent the entire state and we want to make sure we get invited to invite everybody from every region. If this could be done today, I would be so greatly appreciative. So at this legislative event, this is where we present our annual report and the portion that the legislators that we are asking of the legislators. There will be brief one-page handouts of our legislative priorities and recommendations. And it gives the legislators a chance to ask us questions. And we're in a minute, we're gonna go over what we're asking of them this year. In addition, we're gonna emphasize that we're looking for legislative members and student member positions that we have openings that need to be filled. And I also want to thank Representative Comey and your staff for making this happen, and Holly and Christine and Jolie and everyone at CSDE. I am going to stay after the legislative meeting, and I'm going to walk around and bring the one pagers and annual reports and put it in legislators' mailboxes and knock on doors. If anyone wants to join me, they have the time and extra have. Oh, and I saw a hand. Let's do that. So Christine, we just have to make sure, and I guess Sean, that's CSDE does the printing, that we have enough.
I really love that you guys, that's a great idea, is just to see if you can make an appointment with your your legislator or any
You want an
legislator while you're here. I mean, that's
Yeah,
always.
what do we do? Tell us.
Just you would call the main number and, request who you want to have a meeting with and see if they can schedule anything. If there's someone specific that you want to meet with. Otherwise, you can just stop by the desks, the House desk, the Senate desks, and say, hey, is so-and-so around? If they're not around, you can leave a note. They have these forms that you can leave a note.
Then they have mailboxes, because I vaguely recall you talking about mailboxes that we could put the annual reports in.
Yep. So they have mailboxes. Definitely put the annual report, and I actually have my aide putting invitations to the breakfast in everybody's mailbox too. So I will double check on that today. Make sure that happens.
Wonderful. And don't forget, if for some reason we have a major snowstorm, which I don't see one on the horizon other than maybe Monday a little bit, the 26th of February is our the day that we are going to be having our snow date. I almost said rain date. Representative Comey, can you tell us, just while we have you, can you tell us about this new committee for special education, and should we be reaching out to them to talk to them, and if they have questions about our annual report?
Yes. So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, special education has a committee. I don't know why I wasn't placed on it, but on the other hand, I have already spoken with some of the members and said, hey, we got to connect, because I'm working, I'm on this committee, and it is a priority committee of the House. Marianne Kahn from South Windsor area is the House chair of it. And I have hand delivered an invitation to the legislative breakfast to her office and tried to stop by. So I will keep her in the loop. But I think it's just a great opportunity for us to continue to get our priorities focused on that, focused in that committee with whatever they're going to do. I don't really know exactly. I think it's, a funding thing, trying to improve the funding.
Yeah. Cost share.
Yeah, I will see what I can find out, but what you read in the news is what I read, is what I know.
Right. Thank you again. Thank you. Can't say it enough to thank you for your presence, because you're making all the difference in our committee and who we're reaching. So thank you. Quickly, Brandolyn, oh, sorry, one second, Tom. Brandolyn, can you say hello?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Brandolyn Fulton Williams. I live in Norwalk, Connecticut. My son is 6 years old and he's in first grade. A little bit about him. He's in first grade. He's in the general education class with an one-to-one RBT aide. He has a diagnosis of autism, as well as ADHD, even though I don't really agree with the ADHD diagnosis anymore. I think it's more of a sensory processing disorder, which he also has that diagnosis. He has an AAC device, and I am part of the Norwalk Early Childhood Collaborative. as a parent representative. And also, I learned about this opportunity with working with Jennifer with the CPAC's Parent Leader Roundtable. So I'm really happy to be here. I actually just spoke at the Board of Education meeting last night, so I'm like fresh off of being emotional. And I look forward to connecting with all of you, hopefully in person very soon. Thank you for having me.
Great, excited to have you here, and you win the acronym award today. What is, we would just want to share with anybody who's watching, ACC, and you said RE. Can you just tell what those acronyms are?
Sorry, yes, I know, acronym city over here. So, so my son has a one-to-one RBT aide, and that's a registered behavior technician. And the AAC device is the augmentative assistive communication device, which is an iPad with the program Touch Chat. Any more acronyms that I say?
No, just two, just two.
Okay, perfect. Yes.
Thank you, and welcome to all our new members. Excited to have you here. Mr. Kosker.
Yeah, just a couple quick things on the membership breakfast or whatever, the legislative
Oh, yeah.
breakfast. So I followed up with a few people because I had a list from last year who showed up, or who at least that I had notes who showed up, like Senator Kushner and Representative Brown, who had expressed interest, who we had kind of communicated with. So I followed up with them as well this year, just to send them the invite personally. I think it's really helpful. Obviously, it's awesome everything that Representative Comey does, and that's great. But hearing from us directly, and parents and families and whatever stakeholder group you represent, I think is really important. So, you know, certainly reach out to NOS. I know Anna, you had talked to one representative last year, and we had followed up with her. So, and anybody that you had either made a connection with or have a connection with, I think is really important. And it is really easy. I mean, literally at the minimum, you just email them. I mean, their email's on their website. It's super easy to find their email. You just shoot them an email and tell them who you are and stuff. And obviously I'll just reiterate, your own representative and senators, you know, if you don't know who they are, then get to know who they are. You should know that. You know, I think it's important, but definitely reach out to them, and they will maybe show up, even though they're not involved with, you know, education very much at all. Neither of mine are, but they do show up once in a while and throw their support behind our initiatives. So it's really important. So I just did want to say, so yeah, and I did reach out to Marianne Kahn as well, because she had, I know she'd been involved in education stuff in the past. So I did send her an email, and it doesn't hurt for them to get 2 or 3 emails from a couple people, because then it's like, oh, we got one from Comey and we got one from this person. And so if they see that, that's okay, you know, especially from those of us who are involved in the committee. And Representative Rader, actually, I just noticed she had been interested in and had shown up, Maura Rader. And she's on, there's a very short list that's on the Special Education Committee. Again, unfortunately, it's not Representative Comey, but Derek Slapp has been involved with a lot of stuff recently. Well, over the years, I should say, in this field. So anyway, yeah, just keep reaching out. And if we could also add, I know I'm babbling, but at one point, Jolie, Jolie was putting a lot of these folks on an email distribution list, because they had said, hey, just let me know when meetings are happening. So I don't know if that's still happening. And Sean's nodding his head a little bit, so you might recall that, Sean. But there was like our list of people like us that's, you know, go to the meetings, but some people are like, I can't commit fully, but keep me in the loop, right? So we definitely add, and certainly Representatives Upkiss and Biggins, who both express interest in her, both on, you know, well, one of them's on the Special Ed Committee. I think it really helps to let them know, here's our, you know, meeting coming up. And if they're probably never going to show up for the most part, but it keeps them in the loop and keeps them aware of what we're doing. So anyway, that's my little plug on just doing our thing. It's not a ton of work. I mean, I spent like an hour yesterday just plowing through some emails and getting them out, and I think it really helps. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to follow up with Jolie, Tom, related to any type of lists that she has related to people that she has been keeping in touch with, or has related to reaching out. So I'll do that.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, because I remember last year we had talked about it after the breakfast last year. I think it was last year, right? The breakfast, and there was like a few people like, yeah, put me on the list. And she's like, okay, I'll send them stuff. And so I don't know if that's a list, a thing. Like, I don't know if there's a distribution list that exists. But if it doesn't, maybe we could. Yeah, that'd be great.
Jolie does keep lists. I mean, she keeps tons of lists.
I'm sure she does. Yeah, I'm sure she does. Yeah.
Wonderful.
We just need to make sure that it's in the right hands now with, you know, whomever, Holly or Christina or whoever that's helping out with it. So. Awesome. Thanks.
Great. Jeff?
Yeah, just for everybody to know, if you want to find out the address to get in contact with your representative, you can go right onto our website, which is the Connecticut General Assembly, CGA. And when you get to that main page, you'll see up on the top left-hand side, there'll be something, a little tab that says representation. And then you can just find your legislators. You put in your address, your town, and it'll bring you right to where the people are with links to their email address, to their website, I should say.
Yeah, there should be a letter. I think Christine is just sending it right now that has the how to do that, a sample that Catherine shared us from last year, and a sample letter, what you could just put in your email for your legislator.
Awesome.
Since this is the year of special education, as everybody's saying, and I saw on the news and I was getting ready this morning, we just need to make sure that our voice is heard. Okay, we have to quickly move ahead, and in a second, I'm going to go over the annual report, but the Special Education Task Force has completed its report. Today it's being shared with the legislature, and I'm going to send it out to everybody today. A lot of it has to do with the full funding of the excess cost grants, but there are a few things in it that, Tom's sharing link to legislators in the chat, but it has some things, quite a few things that align with what we're talking about. But we actually, since there isn't a lot of parent representation on this task force, we are speaking with a different voice a little bit than the Special Education Task Force. So we, I urge you when I send that out to just take a peek at it. It's pretty clear. And they really made it easy to read. Okay, great. Next, can you throw up the annual report slides?
Yes, you got it, Susan. Just give me 1 minute.
And I would like to, just because we don't have a lot of times, we're already at 32. I would love to start at slide 8, if possible. Great, thank you. Okay, I'm hoping everybody could see this. Thank you. So these are our priorities for this year's annual report that we as a SAC came to conclusion. Individualized program, that's throughout it, special education staffing, the PPT process partnership, belonging, least restrictive environment. We talked a lot about belonging this year, as well as CSDE did. Individualized student safety plans for school, emergencies and drills, and social emotional learning, mental health, and emergency use of restraint and seclusion. These are the topics that we talked about, and we didn't put student voice as a separate category because we feel like it's infused in each one of these. Student voice is so very, very important. If you could now skip to the next one, 9. So who this is shared with is the Connecticut State Department of Education, our state legislators, and this Connecticut State Board of Education. So can you go to the next one? And if I'm going too fast, sorry, we can do questions at the end. I just want to make sure we get this in. So this is I wanted to give a quick overview of what we're talking to the legislators about. These are not our priorities for the state board, for the Connecticut State, I'm losing my Bureau of Education, but some of them are overlapping. But these are things that we feel can be legislated. So the first one is least restrictive environment and student belonging. And if you would go to 11 for me. Great. So we're asking for additional funding and training to support districts to provide a continuum of placements and supplementary aids and services for students with high needs, and then provide additional funding resources like competitive grants to support unified programming. So could you go to the next slide? This will all be in the report. Great. So next is the, wow, this is the hot topic because I just heard on the news today about special education staffing, recruitment, and retention, and we talked a lot about this. Would you go to the next one? Thank you, Christine. So we thought providing financial incentives to attract interest in special ed careers, increasing compensation for special educators, and this is certified and non-certified staff to increase retention. And you see we have related service providers, paraeducators. We would like to promote and pass a new legislative initiative to provide financial assistance to prospective special education teacher candidates and students to increase enrollment in the educator preparation programs. Could you please go to the next slide? Great. And certification. We need additional funding. So there's a lot of this funding to support alternate path to certification programs. And we need to review and consider revisions to certification regulations and standards. I believe that is going on to in a different committee, not a legislative committee, but I think there's a committee just for that right now, and they're working on that. Next. Okay, future educators. So we need to provide funding to support alternate path to certification programs. We've said this again. Oh, wait, did I do a double one? Or did we not move?
So certification was just what you did, and then future educators?
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to fix this. So certification future educators. Okay, great. Sorry, guys. Next, can we skip to the next one? Very good. Current educators. So we need to help the people that are already in the classroom. So provide programs, incentives to increase retention. And then we've talked a lot of times about removing some of the administrative duties from special educators so that they can spend more time with their students, and clerical support could be given to them so that they can spend more time with their students. Would you please go to the next slide? Sorry. Great. Social, emotional, mental health, and restraint and seclusion. Next, please. Thank you. So we've discussed changing the current requirement for parent guardian notification of restraint and seclusion from within 24 hours to same day notification. We tried last year, we didn't quite get it. And notification in the language of the parent guardian. Because sometimes our student might be English speakers, but their parents are not. Okay, next, require the Connecticut State Department of Education increase levels of monitoring to include audits of district schools and students with high rates of restraint and seclusion. So we've had a lot of discussions on that. Could you please go to the next one? Individualized student safety plans for school emergencies and drills. Thank you. We had that whole new ad hoc committee. I appreciate everybody who's working on this. And I feel like we are the only group of that. Well, actually, we are not the only group, because there are other groups that are working on this, but only group that are tasked with talking to the legislators about what we think are unmet needs that are handling school emergencies and drills. So could you go to the next one, please? So we need funding for the training of relevant staff in emergency planning. You have to give some sort of training to the staff so that they feel safe and the students feel safe. We would like to change a section of the fire and crisis drill of that to include the accommodation for students with disabilities shall be included in safety drills and parents notified of their participation. Tom, thank you for that one. Next. Pretty please. Okay, so Connecticut statute 10-222M, we need to add that it shall include a member of the school safety committee with a special education perspective. It is now listed as you should do that in Jeff, we can talk about this in a second. Jeff did research. It's actually not mandated. It's a recommendation. So we would like it mandated. Okay, next, during the IEP development process, the individualized education plan, the PPT, which is the planning and placement team, shall determine whether or not the student requires any specifically designed instruction and or accommodations to effectively participate in emergency drills or events. Each IEP should include whether or not such instruction was needed and develop a plan to address and meet those needs. Okay, would you go to the next one? Thank you, thank you. I love the sticky notes. So if you could go back to the screen where I can see everybody, because so whoops, and I have to go to full gallery view. So I know we're gonna have a lot of questions. I zipped through this. But this is all in the annual report. The annual report was with miscommunication was sent out to everybody. It wasn't, we hadn't looked at it. We just had it like collated. And so we have a few changes, grammatical errors and things like that. So please do not send out the annual report yet to anybody. I'm hoping to meet tomorrow so that we can just clean it up and make sure it's correct. But all of this is in the annual report. I feel like not just education committees, but anyone that deals with school safety, any of those committees, we should be inviting to. So if you have a legislator that is on that committee, you can bring up that fact. Does anyone, I know I'm zipping, does anyone have any like questions or comments or, and some of these we're going to roll into next year's priorities? No? Okay, thank you. Thank you, and thank you for scrolling through. Okay, I'm writing this, reading all my notes. Okay, before I get off executive committee report, could we today, can we include action items in the meeting minutes and who's tasked with that action item at the end of our minutes, if that's possible at all? Like if someone says, I will do something, or if you could do that, that would be great. And then if you could, and Christine, if you could also get in contact with maybe Jolie, because I went to look at like past minutes that were printed on our website. And the only one I could find was October 15th for membership. It seems like they're not getting posted online after they're approved.
Yeah, I'll touch base with her on that one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
And there
Thank
was,
you
just
so
to let everyone know, there was that transition period. So there might be
Yeah.
having some contact that we need to do to
Oh,
keep.
yeah. But I just happened to peek. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
You're welcome. No problem.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Okay, Miss Catherine Sum. And we are so behind, and you guys know that's not me. I like Van Time.
I will be short and sweet. Okay. All right. So from the membership committee, we continue to have 3 student vacancies on the SAC, and we know how important the student voice is. So I want to encourage all of you again to recruit student members, and also at the legislative breakfast. That's also an opportunity, believe it or not, because your legislators may know of a student who they would recommend to join the SAC. So, reach out, don't be shy. There are a lot of resources out there. Our legislators are fantastic. They know more students than you can imagine. So I have a feeling that the breakfast will be a great recruitment opportunity. And also, while we cannot recruit legislators to join the SAC, we can certainly encourage them to attend the public portion of our full council meetings. So really encourage them to attend as time permits or to review recordings of the meetings. Again, the legislative positions are appointed, so we can't recruit, but we would certainly like to spark their interest. And then maybe this is a question for Brian or the executive team. I just want to make sure that when individuals submit a membership survey, that the survey does get to the correct individuals. I believe Jolie continues to be listed as a contact on there. So I just want to ensure she's still supposed to be a recipient of the survey, or perhaps there should be someone else. And membership committee or anyone else, any questions or anything that I've missed as a membership update? No? Okay, great. Thank you, everyone.
Wonderful. Mr. Jeffrey Spar?
Yeah,
Oh, wait,
hi.
Tom. Wait a second, Tom had his hand
Go,
up.
Jeff. Go, Jeff. Jeff first.
Okay.
On the legislative committee, so the session just opened like a week ago today. What you'll see, the way we usually do things is Brian and his contacts will send to me the legislative proposals that deal with special education or education in general. We'll take a look at it, we'll discuss, etc. At this point, there really isn't anything of substance. What they do is they kind of put placeholders out there. So for example, Brian sent me one that there was a proposed bill that just says that the sum of blank dollars be appropriated to the Department of Education for the Office of Dyslexia and Reading Disability. So there's not really too much of substance to discuss on that. We have a legislative committee meeting scheduled for tomorrow, but there's not really too much to discuss. The way we do this is we put placeholder meetings out. So I'm going to cancel tomorrow's meeting because there's not.
Oh, no, Jeff, could you not, because we have to type up a letter with the two items that we are requesting in our own annual
okay.
report and send it to him as soon as possible.
Okay, so we'll have tomorrow's meeting. I didn't know about the new stuff. Okay, so we're gonna have tomorrow's meeting. Also, could I have like a final list then of all the people that if Christine, if we could get a final list of all those that are on the legislative committee. I know that Brian had asked me that yesterday. If anybody is interested in being on, it's not too time consuming. It's generally just the discussions, and it's interesting, and you get a chance to know what's in the hopper for legislation. Please let us know, and we'll make a complete list. But tomorrow, then we'll have it. So we'll have to have an agenda out with a link too, I guess.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Yeah, it'll be a shorter meeting, but we have to put together what our requests are.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Kosker.
So a couple of things. What time is that meeting tomorrow?
Hold on.
The legislative. So that's one question. And yeah, I can't remember if I got the link to it or not, or I'm not sure if I'm on the list or whatever, but please send me the link if you can add me to the
My
list.
calendar is frozen. So
No, it's okay. It's 9:30 tomorrow.
9:30,
And
thank you.
we could get you the link, Tom.
All right, cool. I might have gotten it already and forgotten to
Yeah, and we can
reply.
have, and if people can put in the chat right now if they
Yeah,
want
there
to
you
be included.
Perfect.
And I
So
could throw
couple.
the link in the chat.
Now that meeting, I mean, the idea is to meet weekly on that. Is that the sort of idea? Do we have a standing weekly at 9:30 on Thursdays? Is that the idea? Okay.
Yes, it is. Right, Jeff?
Yeah, pretty much. Then
Yeah, okay.
Standing.
we can
cool.
adjust it going ahead. Sometimes we make it every
Yeah.
2 weeks when there's a slowdown, but just to start, we're gonna have it. We already have it now for this tomorrow and for the next Thursday. Then we can tomorrow we can probably schedule some more ones.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I have a standing meeting at that exact time every week, so I might have to, but I'll figure it out. But so a couple things. One, I mean, I think I know we can't appoint, but I mean, as far as recruiting legislators, Catherine, I think we can recruit as far as like, hey, you're interested, because we've done that many times over the years. You know, you're interested. Oh, you're really, and if they show strong interest, then we could just say, hey, talk to whoever deputy dog guy that's the the appointer person and make the appointment. But we've done a lot of asking and recruiting, so to speak, over the years. So I don't think we're precluded from doing that. Obviously we can't make it happen. But anyway, so it's not to split hairs, but it's important to talk to those folks that show up tomorrow. And we did the same thing last year, and we didn't get anybody on the hook, but we got people sort of interested.
Yeah, no, I
and
think
we kind of
definitely
got ourselves a little bit on the map, that people knew we were there.
Yeah, and I agree that we certainly want to encourage legislators to attend our meetings, learn more about the SAC, but it is my understanding that we can't actively recruit them to be members because they're appointed. So, but if
I hadn't heard that. I don't know where that comes from. If there's some rule in our bylaws or something, I'm not aware of that.
I think it says they're appointed by certain committee members.
Well, I know that. I know who they're appointed by.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously. I mean, there's people that are appointed by the governor, but we recruit parents to say, "Hey, governor, appoint them." You know what I mean? So, in the same sense, like the deputy person of whatever majority leader is not. Probably doesn't even know we exist. So they're not really recruiting at all themselves.
No.
Anyway, it's important for us. The other thing I want to comment is there's obviously huge stuff that we all know, or most of us know if we're reading the paper on special education this year. They've already, Ritter's already explained that it's one of his top priorities, special education this year. And I believe Senate Bill 1 is a special education bill, which means it's going to get passed pretty much. I mean, it's just a matter of what's going to be in it. It is a high priority this year. Like, we really need to be involved, I think, this year more than ever. So there's a lot to talk about. I think there'll be a number of hearings on a lot of issues here that we're going to want to weigh in on. So I think it's important for us to kind of meet regularly as a committee and have that conversation, because as we all know, Jeff, you've said this in the past many times, it happens quick. It's like hearing tomorrow, or hearing next Tuesday, and we gotta respond. And sometimes big groups don't respond quick, so that's why the committee works out well. So anyway, there's gonna be a lot happening this year.
Right, and Tom, you are so right. So if someone does express interest, then we can find who the person is that they're supposed to reach out to get the appointment. So we should, I guess, I'll take.
Yeah, if you really wanna, right, and just tell them, hey, if you're really interested, like Representative Comey, like, hey, go talk to so-and-so, and they'll write the letter for you. And usually that person will do it because, they'll fill the spot.
Right, right, and
they have to fill the spot.
And I think if they do come to our meeting, they might be asking us also about the special education task force and what they have on their report. So I'm going to make sure I'm sending that out as soon as the meeting's done to the entire group. And then I'm hoping by Friday we will have the official annual report with all the corrections made in it to everybody, and just take a peek at what we're going to be asking the legislators, because they will ask us challenging questions at the breakfast. They have, and they will. So.
And I'm sorry to dwell on this. Remember last year when we reached out to Representative Curry and we got on the speed dating thing, and you guys went to that little quick thing. That might be worthwhile to do that to Marianne Kahn and Senator, I don't know who that senator is, but for the special ed committee. And again, they're probably going to be slammed right now with every person and interest in special ed reaching out to them, since it's a new committee. But we should be one of those groups, I think, reaching out to them. I know SEEK is probably already meeting with them, and I know OCA is meeting with them, and a lot of groups are meeting with them. The task force, I would assume, is, because that's kind of been their role. But anyway, just a thought,
No, Tom, it's a wonderful thought. Is Moira on the special education, the new committee? Moira Rader, Representative
Rader, let me look. I just had it pulled up. Rader is on it. Yes.
Okay, I will reach out.
Yeah, and I've spoken with her in the past, and I've spoken with her in the past, and she's been very involved and interested in anything we had to say about special ed. So
okay,
makes sense.
Okay, great, wonderful. Yeah, because what we've been trying so hard to do is get people to realize that we actually have been mandated to do this, right? And okay. And so we are a resource to them. Okay, so any other discussions on legislative, any of that? Because I'm going to move to the Bureau of Special Education has a quick update for us, and then we have roundtable, and then we should be out of here pretty soon. Nothing?
No.
Anyone see a hand? No? Okay, great. I turn this over to the Bureau of Special Education.
So we have a presentation today. Alicia Trackets is going to be presenting today on ESSIP. And so I'm going to turn it over to Alicia from our office. So Alicia,
Thanks,
I'm going to turn
Sean.
it over to you. Thank you for coming today.
Oh, you're welcome. I am always happy to come to STAC.
Christine, would you mind sharing the screen for Alicia? Thank you.
Just want to make sure, are you seeing that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Alicia Trakas, and I work in the Bureau of Special Education. And oopsie, that's not what I wanted to share. Here you go. I'm here today to give you a really brief update about Indicator 17, which is one of our SPP, our State Performance Plan and Annual Performance Report indicators, the State Systemic Improvement Plan. And so we refer to that as the ESSIP. So today I'll be really brief. I promise. I told Brian I would keep it at 10 minutes, so I'm timing myself. I'll review the Indicator 17 language, provide an overview of the current ESSIP improvement activities, including an update on the CON-I-4, which is the Connecticut Intensive Intervention Implementation Initiative, which is why we say CON-I-4, because that's a mouthful, and the Data-Based Individualization Project, referred to as DBI, which is something we're partnering with and have been with UConn. Finally, I do hope to gather your input and feedback on our SIP improvement activities, and I have 4 quick questions at the end of the survey. Essentially, what questions do you have about the SIP and the Con I4 DBI project? How do you think Con I4 DBI will contribute to the SIP? What outcomes are you most interested about? And if you have any other thoughts and comments. So while I'm going to the next slide, I am going to put the survey in the chat so that if you'd like to open it up and follow along as I'm kind of going through, you'd be able to answer some questions as I go through the slides. So every state is required to have an SIP, and that improvement plan topic area is selected by the state. Currently in Connecticut, our identified plan is around the area of 3rd grade students with disabilities and their performance on the statewide English Language Arts or ELA assessments. For example, the Smarter Balanced, as well as the alternative assessment. To measure how all 3rd grade students with disabilities across the state are performing on the 3rd grade ELA assessment, we calculate what's referred to as the ELA Performance Index. This is the same index that's calculated for every district for all students and then by different subgroups. And it is used in the statewide Next Generation Accountability System. It is, I did write on the slide how they get to that. That performance office has a very intricate formula, basically converting the student scale scores and then averaging the index points to create a scale of 0 through 100. Diane Murphy has actually been on in previous years to kind of go through the formula. I'm not going to do that today, but I have included it on the slides, which I believe you'll get so that you can refer to that. And you can reach out to myself or Diane if you have any questions. What I really want to talk to you today about are really our activities and our strategies to improve the SIP. So the SIP is a comprehensive multi-year plan focused on improving results for students with disabilities by improving educational services, including special education and related services. Our plan kind of focuses on 2 areas. We have infrastructure improvement activities, and those are things like governance, data, finance, accountability monitoring, quality standards, professional development, and technical assistance. So that's sort of the infrastructure piece. And then the second piece is really looking at the evidence-based practices, activities, and the strategies, which will support change, stronger systems, and then ultimately impact the SIMR, which is our state identified measurable result, to achieve our SIP. So on this slide, I've highlighted just a few infrastructure activities. I'm just going to talk about a couple today. So the CSDE did form an SIP leadership team with internal collaborators from obviously the Bureau of Special Education, as well as the academic office, Center for Literacy Research and Reading Success, which we refer to as the Center, and the Office of Dyslexia and Reading Disabilities, which you'll probably hear a lot as ODRD. And so we basically come together to share expertise, research, resources, support the SIP's plan professional development opportunities to build capacity on reading and literacy strategies, and support districts toward improving the reading performance of 3rd grade students with disabilities. Additionally, in our effort to build statewide capacity, we've partnered with CERC to put out 9 free online webinars, an online module for educator preparation programs, and the structured literacy training series. Finally, we have a DBI leadership team that meets monthly to review progress of the Con I4 DBI project, and they also gather input from the DBI advisory board, at least on an annual basis. So that was sort of infrastructure. So the evidence-based practices, which is that second bucket that I talked about, again, we're obviously engaged in that internal collaboration with our colleagues, and there's some external on that team as well. But really, the evidence-based strategies is the focus on the Connecticut literacy model which is meant to address the opportunity gap in Connecticut, meet individual needs of learners so that all Connecticut students are reading at or above grade level, independently and proficiently by the end of 3rd grade. And through our SIP efforts, the BSE remains committed to building district capacity and to meet the needs of students with disabilities in the area of reading through our training programs that focus on structured literacy. Structured literacy is a really highly explicit, systematic approach to teaching foundational skills and components of literacy. And through that, we have the Orton Gillingham Introductory Training Program and the Wilson Reading System Introductory Training Program that we provide to LEAs. So I'm going to get a little bit more into the Con-I4 DBI project. So it is a project funded by the CSDE in collaboration with the University of Connecticut. It's supporting schools who are implementing DBI, data-based individualization, and it addresses our SIP and our SIMMER. So what is DBI? So it's really a specific way of implementing intensive intervention using a 5-step process that involves intervention, progress monitoring, and adaptation that's based on evidence from studies of database program modification and experiential teaching developed by the University of Minnesota. So in step 1, pre-DBI data is reviewed to select an evidence-based intervention program that's aligned to the student's need. In step 2, progress monitoring is used to track student response to that intervention. In step 3, diagnostic assessments and data are examined. In step 4, that involves the creation of a really student-specific intensive intervention plan using that data. And then in step 5, the plan is implemented. Students' response to the intervention is tracked. And then the school team cycles back to step 3. So again, it's looking at diagnostic assessments, examining that data, developing a plan, implementing it, and going back. It's a cyclical approach in that 5-step process. So this is a slide that I didn't have last year that I did want to just show so you could see an example of the app that UConn developed to track the system, which is they tried to look at our CT SEDS progress monitoring module and make it somewhat consistent. But this is just an example of what, by putting in the data, this is an example of a graph and a chart of the data and how that progress can be tracked through the intensive intervention. So to give you an update on sort of where we are, because we're in year 3 now of this project, the UConn team has built the meeting app, they've built the progress monitoring system, and that first year they piloted in 6 schools within 4 districts. Last year, they implemented DBI in 19 schools in 9 districts. And this year, they're currently working in 14 schools within 7 districts. So I'm just showing you kind of a progress of the additional schools that we've added each year. And I think I might have gone a little bit over the 10 minutes, and I'm very sorry for that. But again, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have at this time. I would really appreciate if you could answer those 4 questions on that survey. You can take a quick screenshot if you have your phone ready and do it, or put it in, I put that in the chat. You know that we stakeholders are critical partners for improving the success and the results of students with disabilities. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have or have conversations or come back to provide further information if you'd like. And I thank you in advance for completing our survey today. Any questions? I don't see. Nope. Okay.
I got a question. I was going to put it in that
Sure.
form, but I'm happy to ask it if you're taking. So are the schools from the 22, 23, 24, are they being followed still? I mean, I'm assuming the goal is for them to continue to implement and use DBI as
Yes.
time goes forward. Is there some process to kind of continually monitor them as years go forward?
So what we
yes.
did with the schools that implemented in the pilot, great question, Tom. We kind of followed them that second year, but more of that gradual release of responsibility. So instead of the UConn coaches going in and running the DBI meetings, the goal was for their own staff to take that over so that they're more just sitting and supporting, and the teams, the school teams and district teams developed plans to show that they were going to continue this moving forward with input from UConn and support. Great question.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else? With
Alicia,
questions?
thank you so much for this today. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Happy to do it. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. Samita's email is also in that presentation, who is a UConn representative, and you can always reach out to her as well. But happy to be here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you so much, Alicia. I
you.
really appreciate you stopping by.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Bye.
Alicia.
Okay, so next we have our roundtable. So for anybody that's new, roundtable is when we get agency, parent, member updates about any unmet needs or maybe positive outcomes that from your constituents. So we're gonna raise your virtual hand if you have something to share. If you don't, that's okay. And remember, any events, this is not the place to announce those, but you send those to Jennifer Lucier and she distributes them to the entire staff. Is there anyone that has anything to share, any unmet needs, any challenges? And if I don't see your hand, call out. Speak up. Nobody.
Lori has her
Lori
hand.
has her
Oh,
hand
Lori,
raised.
yay, thank you. Lori.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. I've been hearing from parents that for kids that are outplaced, that once they're outplaced, they kind of lose communication with their home district to find out information, to know what activities are going on, and things like that. And I'm not sure how to make that better. I mean, I went back to my specific school and I'm working with it, and that even that fix is not real easy. So I just wanted to share that with the group in hopes that maybe we could help with that.
Yeah, so Lori, we should put that, we're trying to start now our lists of our priorities and recommendations that we need to discuss. And that sounds like something that we might want to discuss and put on that list about
Sounds
how
good.
to increase that communication.
Yeah.
And we can ask Brian or Sean their thoughts on that too, as well. So thank you for sharing. I don't know if this is a share out, but I was listening to NPR and I heard our wonderful different youth advisory board members talking. And I was wondering, Catherine, maybe that's someone that we can reach out to as student members. And about the majority of them, as they spoke, what I noticed is they all said that when they were in elementary school, they had an IEP, but they had no idea what an IEP was or how they related to the IEP. They sometimes didn't even know that they had that extra help. They didn't understand what's going on. And I know that's something that we've been trying to work on. And I know to have students more involved in the PPT process. So that was my only unmet need that I seem to have heard from them. Okay, I see a hand up. Jeff.
Yeah, this is quasi special ed related, but I had heard at the beginning of the year, sometimes you hear on the radio, they're saying, oh, the new laws that are coming in different states across the nation. And it indicated that the state of Illinois had legislation that was going to affect January 1st, where the police in their state were going to be trained in dealing with individuals, and they specifically included individuals on the autism spectrum. So I thought that was a very good idea. In the past, I had worked with ASRC to provide training to the Norwalk Police Department to deal with kids on the spectrum. I know that we have the Blue Envelope program, if people are familiar with that. So what I did is I contacted our legislators, and I've got some good momentum going. We're going to hopefully increase we're going to hopefully pass a in addition to a current statute that is in place. So we're going to include training for police officers across the state. And if you're dealing with individuals, not only with mental and health disabilities, but also just throwing in the autism. So I just thought that might be good, just to have the police say, you know, look, when I interact with somebody and I got my lights and sirens on and my radio going and stuff like that, maybe I might have to kind of back off a bit. So.
Yeah, that's great, Jeff, especially for our new drivers, right?
Yep.
Okay, anybody else?
I just wanted to add on to Jeff. So what it is we want to introduce another envelope, not to take away from the autism blue envelope, but another envelope for those with cognitive and other disabilities. So we're kind of playing around with that idea. It's just you know, communication piece to, you know, let the first responder or officer know that, you know, there's someone in this car that may have difficulty communicating with you. And then with that, we wanted to put, you know, add a piece where they would all be trained on how to respond should they stop a car with a person with a disability. And also we wanted to include something with, you know, non-drivers, because not everybody with a disability that's on the spectrum is going to be a driver. You know, they might be a passenger in a car, they might be a passenger, you know, on public transportation, and then they might encounter a situation where there might be a communication issue with a first responder or an officer. So that's, you know, in the works, that's something that we're thinking about. We're meeting with people to talk about that, so.
So Denise, oh, go ahead.
Well, so Denise, presently you can write this down. There's a statute which is section 7-294V. And that says that the Police Officer Standards and Training Council, that's known as POST, P-O-S-T, that's basically the statewide training for officers, shall, after consultation with persons with mental or physical disabilities and advocates on behalf of such persons, develop a training curriculum for police officers regarding interactions with persons who have mental or physical disabilities. There's also one about dealing with individuals that are deaf, hard of hearing, or deaf blind. That was to go into effect this past July 1st to increase that. So there's that in place, and I just wanted to give you that citation so you could work from there.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. So we've been meeting with Ashley from Linked. And the Children's Subcommission lead person, TJ Nuccio. So, you know, as things develop, you know, I'll fill you in.
All right, thank you.
So Denise, when my student with hard of hearing was getting their license, it was a very difficult, I was very concerned. But I was asking about the green envelope at the driver's office, and it took them a long time to find them. And then they said, oh, we used to have stickers. We don't know where they are anymore, because also a sticker on the license, because they would walk around with that in their wallet. But you're right, training and awareness.
You know, and we also were toying with the idea of having some type of decal that you can place on the car. You know, it's mandatory, but it's an option. Even like at your home, in the door, you know,
yes,
someone is approaching that home, they know, okay, there's somebody in this home that, you know, may have communication issue. You know, maybe a lanyard or something. If you're riding public transportation, you can wear that lanyard. But, you know, we know not everybody with a disability wants to broadcast their disability like that. But, you know, it would be an option. And those things we want to have made available should they choose to use them.
Correct. Thank you so much. Mr. Kosker.
Yeah, thank you. Just wanted to, so real quick, I did hear the thing on Where We Live was the NPR show that you had mentioned, and that was a cover to the summit, the education summit, right? That's kind of where that was. So
yes,
that was great.
quite
I know
interesting.
Sean and the whole crew, you guys organized that summit and had, you know, her kind of host that, Catherine Shen. So she ran that the other day on her show, which was pretty awesome. The outplacement thing. So just a second, what Lori said, you know, we've heard a number of issues. We've been working on kind of the outplacement situation for the last couple of years. And some of you know that I reported out on that to the SAC in the past on a report we issued last year. We'll be issuing another report in the coming months around the same issue. and at Disability Rights Connecticut. And so, yeah, it's definitely an issue that we hear a lot about, and that kind of disconnection that happens, you know, when an outplacement occurs and stuff. And there's a lot of stuff going on there. So I definitely think from our perspective on our stakeholders that we've talked to, it's an issue.
An outplacement. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Anybody else? Jake, anyone? I think it was just, you bumped your speaker. All right. Okay. So then I am going to get ready to adjourn, but I just want to make sure everyone looks at the back of their agenda for our meeting dates. These are listed for our meeting dates in the future. And just remember that the January 22nd is not on there, our legislative meeting with the legislators. That's 11 to 12 a.m. at the executive dining room at the LOB. Yes, Brandolyn, we need, can we have the agenda sent to Brandolyn, Christine, if that's possible? Thank you so much. And Christine, could you actually let us know, do we have those TBD dates filled for our meetings? Where are they?
So it looks like it will be at the LOB for the 26th of February, but we're still getting confirmation on this, so don't put that in quite yet.
Okay.
And Holly's working on, this is kind of Holly's area that she focuses on. So it looks like correct for the April 23rd date.
Correct. We asked for CERC.
I thought it was correct.
Wait, did I have it wrong? Please someone with the words.
Sorry. No, crack is what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. People
Thank
get
you,
us confused
Christine.
all the time. It's okay.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, it's that S and the C, and we get it. So yeah, we are looking to confirm that space, similar to back in October where we confirmed.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, you're welcome.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I just wanted that little update. So,
Susan, can I interrupt for 1 second? I think Rita has her hand up also.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rita.
Hi, sorry, I feel like I'm always late to the party. I thought you were talking about unmet needs. I just wanted to kind of
oh yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about some progress we've made within the Department of Corrections Unified School District #1. So in addition to being a very, very strong advocate for our students that do have documented disabilities, I also made it a goal of mine to make sure transition is a top priority. I'm the director of special ed, but I also oversee the school program at New Haven Correctional. And I've been able to form some very strong partnerships with outside stakeholders, one being Match, which is Manufacturing and Community Technical Hub. So sometimes when I make these connections, the people a little bit resistant to wanting to come into our facilities to talk to our students, but Match has been more than open. So I actually have an appointment with them. They're coming into our facility to speak to our students about opportunities they have to offer. And Match specifically has a training program that's paid. And they also offer, they just bought a van and they offer transportation. So they go around New Haven and pick up reentry students. So I'm super excited about that. I think one of the disadvantages of our district is that we're spread out across the entire state. So trying to navigate all of the community resources that are out there and coordinating, it can be a challenge, but I feel like it's a start, and I'm just super excited about it. And I think that's one reason why we have the rate of recidivism that we do, is because sometimes when they're discharged, they feel as though, it's hard to navigate that in the community once you're discharged. So I think offering those opportunities for them is important before they discharge. So that's my update. And
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Rita, is there somewhere that there's like a one-stop shopping to find out all those resources? Is that what you're finding that's difficult?
Well, there's many. There's like Department of Corrections has welcome centers that does some job training and some career navigation. But what I found is that if we get them before they leave, if the school district can kind of teach those skills before they discharge, they're in a better position instead of, you know, being discharged and then kind of having to navigate what's out there is a challenge. There's transportation issues, there's housing issues, there's, you know, there's a lot that they're dealing with. So we try to help them to the best of our ability before they leave, so they're prepared. But again, it's the transiency of our population also makes it very difficult, because we can have a student one day and then they go to court and discharge from court the next.
Right.
So, but we're taking steps in the right direction. It's not easy, but I think our heart is in the right place, which I think is most important.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you. And if you could think of any way that you need something, you know, addressed in priorities and recommendations for CSDE or legislators that we can work on that would make things easier for you, you know, we'll bring it up, because I'm sure our next meeting will be going over priorities and recommendations.
I will. Thank you.
And it can even just be, you know, easier access to resources.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything else before we adjourn?
So
Yes,
the next meeting is in person then, right?
The next meeting is February 26th, 10 to 2. It should be at the Legislative Office Building. We'll get that definitely for you. Usually when we have in person, we still have, if you can't make it, we still have a virtual option.
Okay.
Right. And everyone take note to make sure when we do sign into the virtual option that we do have a new sign in that came from Holly Ryan, and that's the one we want to sign into. From CERC. I got it right this time.
Good job.
Sorry.
I love it.
Special Education Resource Center. Ooh, I knew what it was. Okay. Yes, it is. But actually the next time, hopefully we see everybody in person is next Wednesday at 11 a.m. At the Legislative Office Building in the Executive Dining Room, which is in the back behind the cafeteria. Anything else? No? Okay, wonderful. Would someone make a motion to adjourn this meeting? Jake? Okay, great. I don't
Brian
think we need
Smith will
a
second.
Okay.
Brian
Is it-
Smooth.
Jake is on the button
Brian
today, man.
Smooth, baby.
Brian
Smooth.
All right, great. So all in favor? I don't think we did all in favor for adjournment, right? We all are in favor though, aren't we? Okay, 10:25 a.m. Thank you, everybody, for everything you do. And I look forward to seeing you next week if you can make it.
Bye,
Thank you
guys.
so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.